Hey guys, welcome back to the KinderWorks Sofa series.
As you know, within this series, we are diving into some real, honest, and meaningful conversations. And today, we welcome the incredible Tami Riley.
Welcome, Tami!
Thank you for having me.
No worries. As we're doing with everyone, favourite part of the set?
I think I'm going to have to go with the flamingo.
Oh, we do love the flamingo. Got rather attached to it.
So let's dive straight in, Tami. So you've had a really interesting journey, and what's kind of really stuck out to us is how you have initiated a lot of your own learning. So we haven't had any kind of formal learning plans as such, but you've taken the initiative and you've learned some incredible new skills. How have you found that, and would you have preferred to have a very formal learning path?
Well, I don't think if it was a formal learning path, maybe it wouldn't have happened in a way where I could have enjoyed it quite so much. So I think it was really nice and freeing to have that freedom to just, try new things and not worry about failing or, not hitting a deadline. Like, we made time. And yeah, I think it's really made me enjoy the whole process, just being able to try different things and do it in my own time. I think it's a really positive way and a good approach to learning new things when you're choosing what you want to learn.
It's almost like you're having that decision yourself and your own enthusiasm, and it's been evident to everyone that you've flourished in those new spaces that you've explored that you hadn't necessarily dipped your toe in before, and now you're the go-to within the company. So you must get, also a huge sense of achievement that you've driven that journey yourself and explored new spaces and completely mastered it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really like a huge sense of satisfaction when you do something that you've self-taught, and then everyone's like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I'm like, how did you do that? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, I just sort of tried it out, gave it my time and effort. And because I had that support and everyone was kind of behind me, cheering me on, kind of saying, you can do it, you start believing that you can. I think that's really worked for me in that way.
Absolutely. And I think the word that you mentioned, you've had the belief, that's what it comes down to. I've always believed that anything is possible and you can achieve anything if you have the right mindset and positive approach for that. Why can someone achieve something and someone can't? There's no given reason. You can actually do anything you want, and you've mastered some of the hardest technologies and platforms that are out there from a creative point of view, just because you have this positive mindset of, yes, I'm going to tackle that. How have you found that positive approach has helped you?
Well, I mean, the positivity really helps, but I think a lot of it comes down to the support in the first place, because obviously these things take time, and if you didn't have that time and you weren't supported through that process, it could potentially be quite a stressful thing, because it's like, we're giving you this time to learn and you're like, oh, I better learn something. But it didn't feel like that. It was much more, give it a go, see if you like it. And I felt kind of comfortable to explore new things, and it was a very kind of positive experience all round.
So one of the things I've got to ask you, so you work in a really fast-paced design studio and you have some incredibly tough deadlines to manage. How do you always remain so graceful and so positive? What are the tips that you have to share with everyone watching this today?
I don't know. Yoga, meditation, no. What are the tips? I think it's more just it's positivity. I think if you're freaking out, you're not going to get anything done any quicker. And everyone around you is just going to freak out as well. So if you're calm and you're positive and you're like, yeah, we can do this, you'll find that other people start doing that too around you.
It's infectious.
Yeah,
it is.
It is. I mean, I got when I first started at KVA, 100% your influence and that positive energy is just completely rubbed off on me, 100%. But yeah, I think if you're positive and you remain that way, even when maybe you've got negative energies around you, it's infectious and others will follow.
Oh, that's incredible to hear. And I think that's why it's so important that everyone within a team knows they're in it together, and we can tackle things and try and achieve whatever we can achieve. But at the end of the day, all we can do is our best, and that's okay. And it's always hard to be positive and approach tricky situations when you have this fear behind you of what if. But hopefully what's helped is that we try and foster an environment where, you know, let's just try and do our best, and that is okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that is definitely the mentality that gets me through it, is just kind of, I can only do my best. So if I put my best foot forward and I'm positive about it, that's all I can achieve.
So you mentioning about us inspiring you from a positive perspective is so interesting, because you inspire both of us so much from that area. And you've told me before about your little rituals and your tricks and tips, especially with setting messages and alarms, which I think can help so many people. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I didn't really think of that, but I suppose it's just become like second nature. Like, so every morning I've got a set of alarms that just sort of, you know, get me to do shit. Yeah, so I've got one of the alarms, for example, is just before I start work, it makes sure I log on time and I don't know, watch more telly than I should, you get what you give. So it's the first thing that I kind of see as I log in for my day's work. And it's just something that, I don't know, it gets me in the right frame of mind. So if I'm feeling negative or whatever, I see, okay, you get what you give. And I think, do you know what? I'm going to go out, I'm going to do my best. And you know, that rewards you in return. You know, you do good work and others go, oh, that's amazing, or you get that sense of satisfaction. So it's definitely, it rewards you back.
It does. I think that there's a really good message in there as well around kindness in business, and a lot of companies kind of don't focus on kindness as, you know, it's just not part of strategy, it's not part of the ethos, it's not part of the internal values, and it's very much obviously financially driven. And what we found is that actually when you inspire people and you've got everybody working in a really kind culture, that is what motivates everybody to actually achieve your purpose. That's what gets everyone on board, and it's that collective human drive that makes a company grow, that makes them succeed, that makes them profitable, is ultimately kind of coming back down to its people and that positivity and the kindness.
I think, you know, being happy in the workplace makes such a big difference. And actually, when I first started at KVA, I was at a point where I was completely falling out of love with what I did for a living, which is not where I started. You know, when I started in the creative industry, I would be so excited and I couldn't believe I got my first job, and I was really, I loved it. And for years I loved it, but I don't know, I just sort of fell out of love with it. And it was when I started at KVA that all started to change for me, like genuinely.
It's amazing.
I was seriously considering like different career paths. I was like, I didn't feel like I was very good at what I did. And I think that is a huge part of it, is feeling, you know, being in a good environment where you're happy and you feel you're appreciated and valued. And when that's missing, it just, like my whole mindset, I was completely in a different mindset about what I was passionate about.
Yeah. The wider impact is phenomenal, and it blows my mind that you would ever think that you weren't good at that or have that satisfaction and value from it, because you are phenomenal in so many ways. And it just goes to show you that I think employees take for granted the power that appreciation and validation really has on people, even to the fact of almost considering changing your career path, or how that might have made you feel in an evening after a day of work or at the weekend. If you're continuously not feeling satisfied and valued, I guess that had a wider impact on your life as well.
Oh yeah, I would go home and, you know, be really depressed about my day, and I'd kind of go home and moan that I just didn't feel satisfied in what I was doing. You know, it didn't fulfill me in any way, and, you know, there was something missing. So yeah, I think definitely changing that mindset and being more positive and being around people that I genuinely think they want me to succeed. Yeah. Like it gives you a different way of looking. It's a different, you know, outlook.
Absolutely. I think it's taken for granted, isn't it?
Yeah.
The power to positively impact someone's life through
just the day-to-day things.
Exactly. And so many people, whether they're managers or employees or even colleagues and teammates, don't understand that one interaction in a day or that one thank you, well done, this is incredible, can change someone's whole day. And we like to call it the ripple effect, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
That one individual, however they've been touched, whether it's a positive or negative action, it then ripples on to their mood, how they talk to the person next to them. When they're driving home, do they have road rage at someone, or do they let someone go and give someone a smile? When they then go shopping, how do they act to someone? When they go home, and each of these people you're touching in your lives, they then go on to let off a similar energy. And it really is the power of that simple day-to-day interaction. It's how you impact the wider world and so many people.
And that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing with KinderWorks. You know, it's so much more than just actually businesses and individuals. It's the impact that we can have on the wider communities, on the world. You know, there's a massive opportunity for everybody to make a real difference. We really believe that. So Tami, you are pregnant. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're glowing.
It's the lights.
I think that's the lights, yeah. So I know you kind of spoke to us earlier on about when you were in your early stages in the first trimester and the challenges that you had being pregnant, but actually working from home 100% was really valuable to you during that time. Can you just talk to us a bit about how you found that kind of process of working from home and the importance of flexibility for employers to give to employees?
So this is the first time I've ever been pregnant. So I don't know any other way, but we were working full-time from home. And actually, you know, when I think about it, you know, I felt really poorly for the first 15 weeks. So it was like full on not feeling well. And I kind of look back and I think, God, I don't know how people go into an office and sit there and do their job well, just because, you know, you're feeling rubbish. You don't want to, you know, put on your work clothes and sit. Yeah.
Work clothes? What are they?
I don't know where that came from. Yeah, so working from home was like really, really beneficial for me because it gave me that space to, you know, be comfortable, and if I wasn't feeling well, I could, you know, go and get myself something to eat, and I didn't have to worry about hiding it from anyone, or, you know, I didn't have any of those worries that I imagine a lot of people must have, because I just can't imagine having to do that. So yeah, it was really, really beneficial for me personally.
I just worry about the people who are suffering in a similar way, and even before COVID, who are in a office environment and maybe feel not comfortable enough to speak openly to say, this is really bloody hard, I can't be here right now, can I please work from home? And even the ones that do have the confidence to speak out and say that, what if their employees don't support that and don't let them do that? You know, half the population is women. A huge proportion of us will be pregnant and have babies, and the working world needs to evolve into an environment that can support that and have flexibility.
Yeah, I think when you decide to kind of have a baby, you're essentially deciding to put your personal life first for a period of time, which can be really difficult when you're in a professional setting and you're going to your boss, oh, you know, I'm pregnant, I'm essentially choosing my personal life for a portion of time.
Yeah.
But that's the difference, isn't it? Because there could be this sort of stigma where you're like, oh, well, she's useless now. But instead, I was greeted with total excitement and like everyone's really excited about it. And I didn't feel like any less of a team member.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's...
We are so excited.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful news, and it breaks my heart that would even be a consideration. And I feel naive to that fact, because until you just said it now, I wouldn't even think people would worry about that. And it really is heartbreaking to think that they would, and that's something that the world needs to change.
Yeah. I was having a conversation actually. We've got somebody who's on maternity leave at the moment, and she was saying how in all of the groups that she's been going to, all the mums have started talking about going back to work and what they're going to be doing. And all of them were feeling under a lot of pressure. They were feeling very stressed. Some of them wanted to go back full time, some of them wanted to go back 1 day a week. And I'd said to this person, you know, you come back as and when you need to, you want to. Your job is there for you. And if you want to do 2 days a week, that's fine. If you want to do 5 days a week, that's also fine. And, you know, I just think as an employer, you don't need to put those restrictions on people to say you have to come back 4 days a week, you have to do this. It should be led by somebody's personal life.
Well, you're going through like one of the biggest changes in your life. You know, as a person, you're changing, and you take all this time off, obviously, and then to go back to essentially your old life, you know, I imagine it must be like a huge kind of change. And yeah, scary. Like, it's scary going on maternity leave. I can only imagine it being scary coming back off. So yeah, it's just, I suppose, navigating those changes in a way where you don't have to stress out about it.
Yeah, exactly. And having the right team there to support you. Yeah. And hopefully with your positive energy and the team around you, it'll be a smooth transition.
I'm sure it will be. I have no doubts.
If you could go back to yourself 10 years ago, what would you say in terms of career advice? What advice would you give yourself?
It's a great question.
Yeah, great question. I think maybe don't overthink things too much. You know, I'm a great overthinker. And I think, you know, confidence plays such a huge part, particularly in like the creative industry. You know, you're putting yourself out there essentially and going, this is good. So yeah, just maybe don't overthink it so much. Don't stress about it, which is so much easier said than done. It's one of those things that you really have to learn rather than, it's so easy to say it. But look for people that are positive around you. So if you're finding you've got lots of negative energy around you, or there's a negative vibe in the office, try and turn that around and, you know, use it to your advantage. You know, try and impact others around you positively, because it will definitely reward you in return.
It does, 100%. And what you said about the confidence, especially in the creative industry, is key. And it reminds me of a story I heard recently, which I absolutely love, around assumed constraint. Have you heard of the elephant?
No.
So it's a popular story, and it just stuck with me so much, where there's this baby elephant, and as it's, you know, growing up and going through its early days, the trainers tie a sort of metal chain around its leg and tie it to a fence, so it can only stand still, it can't walk around. And for days and weeks, this baby elephant is pulling against this chain that's holding it down, and it can't move or get anywhere. So it just gives up, and it accepts that, okay, I'm stuck here, I won't try and move anymore. So it like gives in on itself. And then eventually this elephant grows up into an adult elephant weighing multiple tons, and the trainers only need to tie a bit of rope around its leg and tie this rope to a fence, and it's assumed its constraints, and it's given up, and it doesn't have the confidence to keep trying, and that it can pull away. And actually this elephant could easily go off and do whatever it wanted, but it's given up. I think that's why the environment is so important, to give you the confidence to keep trying, keep fighting, never give up, you can get anywhere. And I just love that story.
Yeah, it's a great one, isn't it?
It's a good one.
I think one of the amazing things as well about you, Tami, is your attitude. So I've worked with a lot of designers in my time over the years, and one of the things that becomes attached to a designer is their work, and it almost becomes part of, I guess, your ego, that you have created it, it's mine, it's my design. And if there's any kind of pushback, criticism, change, on either internally or on behalf of the client, it's very much seen as a negative because that's my design. How dare anyone else criticise that? One of the things that you're amazing at is being able to say, great, take that feedback on board, let's make a positive change. And you've done that from the get-go. Where does that come from?
I think it comes back to confidence again, actually, because it's really hard as a designer to hear those things. But actually, if you're in an environment where you're being constantly told you're doing a really good job and you have the support there and you can ask questions, you don't have to just like go off, do something amazing and then that's it. It could be a team effort and you can kind of say, oh, what about this? What about that? So I think if you come at it from an open mind and you're in an environment where you can, ask for help or get someone else's opinion or whatever it might be, that in turn makes those conversations much easier because your team has told you that you're good at what you do. Yeah. So you already have that confidence in yourself and that belief, that you can do it. And I think when you have that, it's much easier to be criticised because it's not coming from a place of, oh, you're really rubbish at this. It's coming from a place of, the client knows what they want. They're coming to you for a job. And it's your job to make it exactly how they want it so that, you're ticking all the boxes. You have to have the confidence in yourself to be able to take, I think, for me anyway, to take that feedback on board in a positive way.
I think it's often low self-esteem as well, isn't it? That people kind of get quite attached to things and that's when you get a negative response, when people have that low self-esteem and they don't quite know how to deal with those emotions and, that comes out quite negatively. So thank you so much, Tami, for talking to us today and sharing all of your very positive tips and tricks and your absolute great mindset and attitude, which has kind of got you where you are today. And congratulations on your baby. We're so excited.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You're wonderful. Your positive energy goes so far. Thank you, Tami.
So does yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.